Okay, so I thought I'd start with the trailer, as that's the first thing you start with on the tiny house. We bought the trailer from Rainbow Trailers, which is Canada-based, Canada-built, and we decided to opt for the £14,000 option. So that's the weight that it will take. I'm a little nervous about the whole weight thing. It looks like a big house, but fingers crossed it's all going to work out and will be below weight. There's a number of options with trailers for maximum weight. Usually there's two ways. You can either increase the number of axles. So a lot of trailers above 10,000 have 3 axles. But this company, it's their first batch of specific tiny house trailers that were built. And they've opted to go for the bigger wheels. So it's either big wheels or more axles. The problem with the bigger wheels is you reduce your head space. So it brings the floor of the trailer really high, and you kind of lose that maximum height if you're concerned about keeping it below the 13.6 or 0.7 inches there, 13.7 feet. So yeah, we're dealing with the big wheels. Don't know whether it's going to be better or worse than the 3. But being that the floor is high, it means I can fit propane containers underneath for the gas that we're going to be using. So I'm not too fussed about it. The trailer itself is designed with 16 on center. For those that don't know building, that's the spacing that is used generally for studs in a wall and joists in the floor. It just makes it easier to build, so I pretty much mirrored the floor layout on this trailer, and it was just easier to build like that. So strength-wise, it'll take the build. There'll be no bends in the metal, or at least there shouldn't be, and there was no adjusting that I needed to do to cut any metal or do weird overhangs and things like that. It's all perfectly laid out. So yeah, that's pretty much the trailer. There's a couple of other things. Oh yeah, it's got 4 leveling jacks built in, so you can level it out before you start building. And as you keep building, you want to keep checking that the trailer is level, because it can go out of whack there. And yeah, you want to make sure that everything is level throughout every stage of the build, even up to when you're putting the siding on, to make sure that's level. If you're using a level and your trailer's gone whack, then when you finally level out your trailer, you realize that your siding's all out of skew. The trailer was designed to have insulation inside of it, so in between the members, but I decided as I was building not to do that because of the transfer of heat and cold through metal. It just seemed that there would be too much heat loss through the metal. It's known as thermal bridging, and a lot of articles I researched and read about seem to think it was a bad thing. So I decided to build the floor on top of the trailer, again, which means that I lost that height due to the size of the wheels, and that I put the floor on top and not in the middle. So maybe I can get under there and show you how it looks. As you can see, you've got the 16-inch on-center beams all the way along, so it makes it a lot easier to build a floor on there. Huge axles to take the weight, and what I've done, I don't know if we can see, but I have actually put bolts all the way through the joists. Okay, so there's a bolt poking through there, and I've done 2 per member, and I did every other beam. So they're coach bolted through into through the floor joists, sunken into the floor joists, and the bolt comes out. I haven't added the nut and washer yet. I was waiting for a rainy day, but yeah, I will be adding nuts and washers to those bolts eventually. I opted to go for marine grade plywood, which is painted with a latex paint as the base there, so keeping it as weatherproof as possible without having to go through the aluminium process of, I've seen a lot of people use aluminium and it looks like a big pain in the ass. So didn't go for that. Did the marine ply. It's expensive, but probably works out about the same as the aluminium. And then yeah, I've just used some sill gasket between the trailer and the plywood there, just to help a little bit with the thermal bridging again. All right, so a couple more things about the trailer, mainly the jack on the tongue end. There's different ways the jack can be manufactured, and one is with a front winding jack. The other, the most common, is a top winding jack. Now, a lot of people usually want to put some kind of service box on the tongue, and that can cause problems with a jack that's like this one. It has a top winding tongue jack, so it interferes with the door, which is why I had to make a sliding door, so that I can actually just then wind that into the box should I need to in the future. Just have to slide the door off to get the winder going. So that's one thing to definitely consider when you're buying a tiny house trailer. This also has breakaway brakes on it, so you've got all the power to feed the electrics, indicators and brakes and whatnot, but also there's a little plug box that you attached to the car, and if the trailer ever becomes detached, that box will break away and the brakes will automatically apply to the trailer. So when you're buying a tiny house trailer, bear those things in mind.